Okay, so let's make sure we know how to change colors here because sometimes kids can get a little stuck on this part and just some kind of pen tools in general. So one thing I'll mention is the pen size. So right here, if I'm just using the little pen tool, just kind of draw like freehand, um, it will only draw in one little square right there. I can adjust that. I can make it bigger. So as you can see there, it's like that's one pixel. That's four pixels. Yeah, all the way up to that big one right there, four pixels right there. So you see the pen tool can kind of be bigger or smaller or whatever. There's also an eraser, and the eraser does the same thing. You can just erase like a single little pixel there. You can erase big chunks, um, whatever you need it to do. Another one that's kind of cool to use is this thing, the vertical mirror pen. So I'm actually gonna delete that. I'm going to kind of ruin my drawing here for a second, but the vertical mirror pen is kind of fun to play with. So what it does is it makes an exact copy of whatever you're drawing on the other half of the screen. So if I start drawing this line, do you see how, oh, look at that. Make like a nice little vase there. See how I'm just drawing on one side, but it just makes a perfect copy right on the opposite side. So you can use that if you need to make things that are symmetrical, like exactly perfectly the same on one side and the other. Um, Paint bucket tool is also kind of a nice feature. And so if I need to maybe fill in a shape with a color, I can select this little thing and I can go down here to my primary color and I can use this slider. So maybe I want like a nice green, and then I can use my paint bucket tool to just bloop, and see I clicked once and it filled that in with that color. I can change this. Maybe I want to make it like pink, and then just using my paint bucket tool, bloop, and then I can just go back and change my color, and then it will save the colors that you've already. So maybe you want to go back and use that pink again, or that green again, or just go back to black or whatever. Um, there's a rectangle tool to draw rectangles. There's a circle tool. It's hard to draw a good circle with squares, so it does the best it can. There's even this selector tool. This is kind of tricky to use, but if you highlight something with the selector tool, you can then use like Control C to copy it, and then sometimes you can get it to cooperate. Yeah, it's not working with. So sometimes I struggle with this one, but if you can copy it and then paste it, and it's not pasting. Oh wait, hold on. Let me try one more time. Yeah, it's not working. I'll let you figure it out. I told you I'm not the best with this, but it's doing the best I can. Um, so a couple other things here. Yeah, it should work. Let's try this lasso. Control C, Control V. Oh, geez. Yeah, I'm struggling. Oh, there we go. Okay, so fight with it. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Control Z, like Control Zebra, that will undo anything you've done. Okay, let me try this one more time. Control C, Control V. There we go. So you can make a copy of something, move it over, and then Control V will paste it on there. You might not ever need to make a copy, but if you do, it's a good trick to know. Um, let's talk about how to change the size of the drawing area. If you notice on our preview over here, it zooms in real close, but if you look at this box, there's a lot of blank space around it. We can click resize, and we can make the area that we're drawing in bigger. So we can actually say, hey, this is 32 by 32 pixels. A pixel is just one little square. We might say, you know what? Let's make this 64 by 64 pixels. And then click the resize button and watch what happens to my screen. Now I have way more room to draw in. Be careful with this. The more room, I think you can go up to like 128. Like you can make it real big, maybe even bigger. Okay, yeah. Oh, now look at that. I've got so much more room for drawing and activities. Um, the more area you add, the bigger the file will become. and you'll see if you make something that has a ton of frames in it and you make the size really big, the computer will start to struggle. Your computer will start to go, especially if you're on one of the Chromebooks. The Chromebooks aren't that powerful. The bigger you make this and the more frames you add, the more it might start crashing or taking forever. It might start freezing and locking up. So be careful. If it starts going really slow and you're looking, you're like, well, I have 147 frames and I made this 128 by 128 pixels, then yeah, it's going to be a gigantic file and your Chromebook might just be like, it can't process all of this. It's too much. So I tend to keep it, relatively small, but you play with it and see what it works, right? Just kind of mess around with it. Here, I'll go 48 by 48. How about that? So you can resize it, make it bigger or smaller. And then let's talk about saving your work. Okay, if your parents make you an account, this will be very simple. You literally just click the save button. If your parents don't make you an account, but you don't want to lose all your work, you have a couple choices. Choice number one, you can click export. Export means like to take out. So like the exit, EX, that's kind of a prefix that just would mean like, hey, that's leaving, right? So we can export things. And so we can download whatever we've drawn and we can download it onto a computer. And then once it's on our computer, we can click on it and it opened it up over here, but oops, you can't see it, but it's there. So I downloaded my file. Now that I exported it and I downloaded it, it's on my computer and it's mine. I can't edit it anymore, but I saved a copy of it. I could share it with my friends or whatever, show it to my parents. You can also click the save button and oops. Sometimes this works real well and sometimes it doesn't, so be careful. You can click save in browser. And if you click save in browser, and that little thing that says successfully saved comes up, then what you can do is when you leave Piskel and say, oh, you're going to leave. Are you sure? Yep, I'm going to leave. Okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to create Sprite. Okay, I'm back in. If you are lucky and you click this import, right? Export means take it out. Import means bring it back in. You can go click on the thing that says load from browser. Load a local Piskel file saved in this browser. Browse local files. Oh, there's my test file. Load. There it is, in all its ugly glory. So then you can come back to it later. I have had kids who have saved it. I've watched them save it. They turn off their laptop, put it away. They come back a couple days later. They do this. They log in. They go, oh, open up my local files. It's not there. So it's not perfect, but it works a lot. So if it does delete it, I'm terribly sorry for your loss. There's nothing I can do about it. But if it does save it, it'll keep it in there for you. And that's it. That's the basics. You can download these. You can share them with your friends. They're a lot of fun to play with. You can make some really cool things. So I invite you to enter the wonderful world of pixel art and take it for a spin. And I hope you draw some really cool stuff and you really like it. Have fun.